Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Unsank Podcast. Today, I am joined by my amazing friend, Frankie, who is here to tell us all about his journey with bipolar and how he makes music to deal with all that. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Unsank Podcast, the podcast that's all about staying afloat in the rocky waters of life. I'm your host, Lex, and I'm here to help you overcome whatever life throws your way. Each episode, we'll be discussing a new topic, from healing trauma to building confidence and rising above the waves, all with the goal of helping you become the badass you were always meant to be. So, if you're ready to take control of your life, then Unsank Pod is the podcast for you. Now, let's dive right in because we have some sailing to do. Frankie, I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Great. So let's start by talking about your journey with all of the mental illness stuff. When did you first notice that you had a mental illness, and when did you get diagnosed, and how did that all come about?
Yeah, okay. So the first time that I actually realized that something was wrong was my freshman year of college. I left home for college, so I left Coachella and I went to Cal State San Marcos. And when I was out there, my freshman year, first semester, I got a 4.0 GPA. And then second semester, I failed all my classes. And during that time, I was convinced that I was autistic or ADHD or something. I knew something was wrong, but I just didn't know what. And at the time I didn't have health insurance. So I had to go through Cal State San Marcos's student health and counseling services, but they weren't equipped to deal with this type of case. So they referred me to another doctor. And when I went to that doctor, they were like, "Oh no, you're not ADHD." And I'm like, "No, I'm telling you, I have I experienced time blindness and I'm not focused on anything at all. And I don't know, I'm having trouble staying focused in all my classes and stuff." And they're like, "Oh no, you're not ADHD, you're not ADHD." And I was like, "All right, whatever." So yeah, I ended up the first semester, I got a 4.0 GPA because I was taking classes with my friend and we had the exact same schedule. And then the following semester, we broke off. He studied business and then I studied computer science. And I didn't have any structure or friends. So I pretty much just failed because I didn't have any structure versus the first semester, me and my friend, he was pretty much my structure. Every day we would get together, go to class. We had the exact same schedule, exact same teachers, everything. And we would do all our homework together. We had scheduled times to do all our homework. And then literally we would just party Thursday, Friday and Saturday night. So we had a three day weekend because we worked our asses off Monday through Thursday, and then we just partied Thursday night up until we had to start again. But yeah, does that answer your question or is there more that I missed?
Yeah, no, definitely. If you could just get into how it affected you and just your journey with all of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So how it affected me was pretty much okay. So I have a very complex diagnoses in the sense of I'm ADHD, bipolar, I have anxiety, and I also have depression. So it's very hard to attribute what caused what exactly, but just generally speaking, all of these things combined just made it really difficult for me to be structured, to be motivated, and to be focused on completing the tasks that I had in mind for myself. And what I mean by that is, for example, I was very distraught about what I should do because when I went to college, what I wanted to do was I always wanted to be my own boss. And so when I went to college, I was like, oh, I'm just going to study computer science because I don't see a future in music production or music. So I'm just going to study computer science so I can make money and then eventually start my own business or something, or just make a lot of money. And then that way I can just focus on music later on in life. And then, fuck, I'm going off on tangents. Sorry. Okay. More specific examples okay, so sleeping schedules. So when I was in college, I was up until 3, 4 a.m. and then waking up at 8 or 9 or something, or just not sleeping at all. And for example, I never have structure for anything. So I even to this day, I struggle with routines and stuff. And especially when I was in college, you know how you just have to be on top of everything and be going to your classes and doing that and doing this. Like for me, it's like super, super complicated to keep track of everything that's going on, because especially like one of the crazy things that can happen is like when I get manic, what like because bipolar causes mania, and like when that mixes with ADHD, it can get like really bad, especially when the mania and like the hyper focus get mixed up, or like even like depression and hyper focus, like it's bad. Like it can get really bad. But for example, like one instance of the mania taking over my life was, I think it got after I failed my second semester of college. I came back the following year for the beginning of the school year, the following year, and I was like really depressed because I had failed like my all my classes and everything, and I was just like that summer when I went home, I was just like depressed, like sleeping all day every day, and not doing anything. Like literally I just slept all summer on my dad's couch, and my dad was just, "The fuck are you doing, bro?" And yeah, I was just really depressed. Like I didn't have energy for anything. Like it was like almost like I was just like paperweight. And like towards the end of the summer, which I'm pretty sure was like, so I went depressed all summer. And then like at the end of it, I was just like, no, you know what? I'm not giving up. I'm gonna try to get like my financial aid back. So that was, I don't know if that was like mania or not, but like I just got really amped up to get my education back. So I did a bunch of shit, and I applied to the financial aid office, and I told them like, hey, like I messed up. I'm sorry. Like I want to do better and whatever. I made an appeal and I got accepted. So I went back to college, and then the same thing happened again where I wasn't able to focus on any of my homework assignments, and I wasn't like, everything was going good in the beginning because I think I'm pretty sure I was manic. So like I had a lot of energy and a lot of like focus on what I was doing. And then like I ended up losing my job at the time. And then when I lost my job, that kind of just trickled into a whole bunch of shit. I ended up failing all my classes. And then I just remember there's some part of this that I don't really want to get into right now, but like just part of it ended up me getting into a relationship that I shouldn't have gotten into. And like also during this time, I was like having a lot of trouble like deciphering like what was real and what was fake in my mind. And I was just like teeter-tottering between almost being like full-blown psychotic and grounded in reality. But the way that I got myself through all this was like self-medicating with marijuana. And I was just like always just like smoking weed because I thought the government was like trying to get me and trying to kill me and shit. If they found out who I was, they were gonna like lock me up and shit. So I didn't want to go to anybody, you know what I mean? That's what happened. That's what happens to me sometimes. Like not so much anymore, but back then. But yeah, like that's one example. And then another example is like pretty much just like it's just that cycle of going through mania and like going through depression, and with the ADHD kind of just like being all over the place. And yeah, it's there's a lot of like stories that have that similar, what do you call it? Like story arc, I guess you could say. I'll give you more examples, like some interesting ones. Another example is, so when COVID hit, me and my ex-girlfriend broke up, and that was very hard for me to deal with. And I also was doing like a lot of like drugs at the time. I was like doing like ecstasy and Molly and like gummies and a lot of marijuana, like smoking every single day. So I was just like doing a lot of stuff I shouldn't have been doing. And so when I broke up with her, like that was like very hard for me to deal with. And I ended up like quitting my job, like literally just like I had a job, and when we broke up, I just quit my job. I stopped going, and then I got this idea of, oh, the world's gonna end, so I'm just gonna do whatever I want to do. I lost everything in life, so I'm just gonna do whatever makes me happy. And then I literally took all my money that I was getting from unemployment, and I literally spent like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on starting my company, Gold Minded LLC. And I started it for sure during a manic episode. And that cost me thousands and thousands of dollars, just like irresponsibly, just spending like thousands and thousands of dollars every week. And it was just like crazy. Yeah, I ended up coming back home, and I asked my dad for a loan. Apparently, I don't even remember about, but I asked my dad for a loan, and it didn't all go to waste because it was all part of the business. But from an outsider's perspective, like it looks like wasted money. So that's an example of like like how my how all these things affect me. And there's more examples, but I think like those are some of the few that can give you an idea of like how severe these things are and how they impact my life.
Well, do you still have the company? Are you still doing it?
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Gold Minded LLC for sure is still going. It's pretty much like my baby. Like I don't have any children, but it's still going. Yeah, and I'm actually in a master's degree now. Yeah, I'm building up my company like the right way this time because
Mhm.
the first time I did it, I was just like gung ho. It's just gonna be like, yeah, whatever. I'm just gonna fucking do it. It's
Yeah.
gonna happen. I just ran into a problem where I didn't have money and I didn't have the skills that I needed. So I just wasn't able to do anything because I didn't have the skills or the money or the team to like be able to do it.
Mhm.
And like my company is a conglomerate, which means that it's a big business made up of a bunch of small businesses.
Mhm.
And I was just trying to do 10 different things at once. And it just, I felt like I could do it. And I wholeheartedly believed that I could and that it was like I was unstoppable and that like nothing was going to deter me. But that was just a mania.
Yeah. So what is your
But yeah,
company? What do you guys do?
my it's a lot of things. I don't know if I can get into all of that it is, but essentially what it is right now, the part of the business that I'm focusing right now is the record label aspect of my business.
Very cool.
And yeah, like I'm an independent artist and I'm focusing on just monetizing my hobby as a music producer.
Mhm. That's really cool. Would you say that music has helped you with all of your mental stuff? And is that your outlet to harness all that energy?
I would say that it's one of my outlets for sure. I'd say that so my artist name right now is BPLR,
Mhm.
which stands for bipolar. And the reason why I chose that name is because it like embodies like who I am. And also because being bipolar, I feel like gives me a lot of room to explore different areas of music that I'm interested in. Because one of the things that I hate about music sometimes and like fans and whatnot is that like artists get stuck in whatever sound they make. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
For example, what's his name? Getter. Getter is known kind of like that wonky, really wonky fucking dubstep. And
Yeah.
like he made an album, I forgot which one, and it was like all colorful and like fucking future bassy and shit. I don't know what it was. I haven't listened to it, but
Mhm.
like his whole tour ended up getting canceled because nobody liked his new music and he was like fighting with his fans on his social media. It's like, hey, fuck you guys. You guys are supposed to support me if you guys are my real fans and whatnot. And I'm like, oh shit, I don't want to run into that issue. So I'll just call myself BPLR so that I can like use because it's part of my brand. Like it's part of
Yeah.
who I am. I live bipolar disorder. So sometimes I'm happy, sometimes I'm angry, sometimes I'm like pissed off, sometimes I'm this, sometimes I'm that. And just my music is gonna reflect that.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be like tied down into one genre or to one type of music or one this or one that. Yeah, but to answer your question too, my old name used to be Alive, like
Uh-huh.
ALYVE.
Okay.
And I've had so many traumatic experiences throughout my entire life. Like I was sexually assaulted and like molested and raped when I was a kid. I was like my mom died when I was 12. I was also taken away by CPS before she died. And then after she died, my dad married this horrible woman. He didn't marry her, but he got with this horrible woman. And that was just a very bad environment for me. I was always fighting with my dad. And then when I got to college, I was like sexually assaulted. And then like a woman, like the director of the center that I used to work at, she like sexually assaulted me and that caused a whole bunch of shit. Yeah, it's just I've just like experienced like a lot of trauma and pretty much like that artist name Alive is like the person who survived all that. So that was my other name. So that's how I'd say that for sure all my mental like health issues and like stuff like it's all related to my music, you know what I mean? Like it's all very much a part of my music. Everything, yeah.
That's really cool. It's great that you have a creative outlet to deal with all that and that you're incorporating it into your music. I think it's really important to not shy away from talking about stuff like that and to incorporate it and just be like, this is who I am and this is what I'm doing. And I think it's going to be a really positive impact on people to see that and to see that it's okay to show your whole self and not just like parts of yourself or put on some, oh, look at me. I'm so happy all the time and everything is perfect and wonderful because most people do that. And I think it's really cool that you're incorporating all your mental illness and everything that you've been through into your music. And we need to be talking about that more. You know, it needs to become more of a normal thing that like it's okay to talk about. And so, yeah, that's really cool. How long have you been doing music for?
Oh, I've been doing music since like 2014, like probably a little bit earlier, but like around that time.
Cool. And what influenced you to start doing music?
I think it's a good question. I like originally what it was is like I don't know if you remember, but like sometime like during the 2010s or like from 2010 to like 2014, there was like a thing called like the Malaysian shuffle. I don't know if you remember that. Everybody was like trying to be like a shuffler like in Southern California or something. I don't know if you remember that.
Vaguely, yeah.
Like that. Yeah,
Mhm.
there was it was just like a thing where everybody was like shuffling and stuff.
Mhm.
And yeah, I had gotten introduced to like EDM music like sometime like when I was like an eighth grader.
Mhm.
I didn't really do much with it, but I just started listening to it. And then by the end of freshman or sometime during sophomore year, I think it was around that time, I started listening to more EDM music more heavily. And then I just started becoming curious. I'm like, yo, how do they do this stuff? Like, how do they make this? And then that's when I like discovered Fruity Loop Studio.
Mhm.
And I had my friend download a cracked version of FL Studio on my computer
Nice.
for me. And it was like so dumb how we did it though. I I literally brought my fucking desktop, like a big old desktop. I literally took it to school, and then he took it home on the bus to his house, and then brought it back to me, and then I took it home when I could have just dropped it off at his house. I don't know why we yeah, I don't know why no, when I think about that memory, I'm like, why the fuck did we do it that way? He was literally walking around with a fucking computer all day. Yeah, so yeah. My friend's name is Hosafat, and then he I don't talk to him that much anymore, but it would be cool if I could reconnect with him. But yeah, he downloaded that cracked FL Studios for me, and then I just started like messing around, teaching myself stuff, and then yeah, I just got hooked on it, and it's just one of those things where like I just became obsessed with learning how to make music, and then like senior year, I was like really like into poetry, and I was really into poetry and whatnot, and then I just started. Yeah, that's when I was like, oh, I want to be a rapper, and then I started learning how to make rap beats and trap beats and whatnot, and then started getting better at rapping, and then that's like my little origin story of music. My origin story is actually sooner though, because when I was in elementary school, I remember like we had these like cool little extracurricular activities like on the Fridays or something. I don't remember exactly what day, but like once or twice a week. I don't remember when exactly, but we would go to this cool little like room, and there was this drumming instructor who had like a bunch of pads and sticks and shit, and he would teach us rudiments. And I guess that's where I got like my sense of rhythm from.
Oh,
So like
that's
I would
really
say, yeah, that would be like my true like foundation in music, I guess you could say.
Oh, wow, that's
Yeah.
really cool. Do you feel like it
Mhm.
calms that when you're, like, working on music that it calms all the stuff in your brain that, like, it you can think clearer, and would you say that it kinda silences all the stuff that's going on? Oh.
No, when I'm making music, like honestly, like it causes mania.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's weird because so the thing is that like bipolar disorder is like a chemical imbalance, right? I would argue that any disorder is a chemical imbalance, but like specifically with ADHD, like what I've learned is that the problem with ADHD is that the different regions of your brain have difficulties communicating with one another.
Mhm.
And then the other thing too is like with bipolar disorder is that bipolar disorder has to do with I don't know like the full science of it, but just generally speaking, like your dopamine and like serotonin levels like are supposed to be like made at a certain like level,
Yeah.
and like my brain either produces too much sometimes.
Mhm.
Sorry, my brain either produces too much sometimes or not enough.
Mhm.
And when it produces too much, that's what causes the mania. So if I'm
Yeah.
having fun in my music studio making music, that's
Uh-huh.
just like crazy dopamine rush, and it'll
Yeah.
just cause me. And then like another thing is like sometimes like I've produced way too much. So now I don't have any. So I'll go like a while being depressed. Like this whole week, pretty much, I've been sleeping in. I go to sleep like around maybe 10, 11, 12, because that's when I'm naturally getting tired. And
Mhm.
then I wake up every day at 5 a.m. because that's when my alarm like wakes me up, but I feel depressed and sad, so I don't get up until 8 a.m. or 9, or even like yesterday, I didn't get up till 1.
Damn.
So yeah, it's just yeah, like it's just yeah, music is just yeah. If it clears my mind, it doesn't, but like it does help me like control some of my like emotions because if it wasn't for music, I would probably destroy stuff.
Yeah.
Like I make like angry, aggressive, and like heavy music, and I guess that's where I let out all my anger and
Mhm.
all my frustration and whatnot. And so yeah, if it wasn't for the music, I think I would probably need a punching bag or I would just destroy stuff.
Yep. Yeah, definitely can understand that. If what else do you think helps you mentally and stuff? What calms it for you? If it's not music, do you have any tools that you use that can jump you out of that? Or is there anything that you're like that it's your go-to tool that will get you motivated, or if you're manic, bring you down and chill you out? Or what do you use to help yourself in that way?
Yeah, okay, so I wouldn't for sure. Some of the things that I do are not for everybody, and
Mhm.
I'm not a doctor, so I'm gonna like preface this first by saying always reach out to a professional
Mhm.
and seek, help and support from a licensed professional.
Mhm.
So I'll start off with the good things that I do first. So the good things that I do, that like I try to find people who support me
Mhm.
and understand me and yeah, don't judge me and shit. So by that, I talk to a therapist. I've been on and off with therapy, but I'm seeing a therapist now, and I see a therapist who's specialized in bipolar and ADHD.
Mhm.
So that's that. And then I also have friends. I don't have many friends because like I just it's one of the things that I struggle with, like making friends.
Mhm.
But like I do have usually my friends end up being like people who are older than me. But I
Mhm.
have this one friend named Otis, and he's really cool. Him and his partner, they're like gay couple, and
Mhm.
yeah, they're really cool, and like they treat me nice, and like they understand me, and like they talk to me and stuff, and like they support me and whatnot. It's important to have that support, like the support and like people
Yeah.
to talk to, and then oh yeah, find things that like I like to find things that make me feel good, do hobbies, do arts and crafts and shit. I have a lot of projects going on, so I like to keep myself busy. That's just me being ADHD. Like I'm focused on the record label aspect of my business, but then I'm also like doing like other stuff like the clothing brand and
Mhm.
different like little products. Like I'm working on tie-dye shirts. I'm working on like my little 3D like serial smiler character. I'm working on getting stickers done. I'm working on making like a little plush toy of him, like a little teddy bear.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
I'm making
cool.
one of those. Yeah. Like just like little things like that. Keep myself busy with like little things like that.
Mhm.
And then another thing is that I love education. That was one of like the values that my mom instilled in me before she died. So I'm always like learning new stuff, like whether it just be researching things on my own or just like watching like informative videos on YouTube. Like I try not to like just watch random shit.
Mhm.
Like earlier today, I watched a video about John D. Rockefeller and like how he like it was just like a little like a 20-minute video about like his life and how he did what he did, and watching stuff like that keeps it's interesting. So those are like some of the things I do that are like good things,
Mhm.
and some of the things that I do that are probably not like the best things to do, but like things that are working for me is that there are times when I feel depressed and I hate taking medication from like CVS and stuff like that because every time I've tried it, it's always made me feel worse,
Yeah.
and it just got to the point where I decided, hey, you know what? Like my quality of life, I think is going to be better now that I've gone through therapy and understand my diagnoses. I'd rather deal with the symptoms of my disorders
Mhm.
like by myself than to put medication into my body because I feel like my quality of life is shittier when I'm on medication.
Yeah.
So I stopped taking medication, and like sometimes now, like when I feel like depressed, I'll smoke marijuana to cause mania to get the dopamine going and shit.
Yeah. Mhm.
But like those are some of the things that like how I have learned to manage and cope with this.
Yeah. No, that's all really good. That's really awesome. Yeah. So, how has this, like, how has your journey kind of evolved? Has it gotten, like, easier to deal with? Have you found, like, better coping skills, and have you found it more manageable since you've quit doing the prescriptions and everything?
Okay, yeah, okay. So to answer your question is that like education and knowledge is like key to being able to manage your symptoms.
Mhm.
And what I mean by that is that like I went the first 27 years of my life undiagnosed, and I was like pretty much all over the place because of that. But once I learned about what bipolar was, and once I learned about what ADHD was, like I feel like for me, I have a better framework for understanding myself and to being able to recognize like when I'm depressed, being able to recognize when I'm manic, being able to recognize like when I'm like being ADHD, like when I'm hyper focusing or when I'm scatterbrained, like being able to recognize those cues is like
Mhm.
really important. And one of the ways that I found to be able to recognize all that stuff was through education, through therapy.
Yeah, totally. That's really good. I'm glad that you recognize that. I think education is really good too. That's one of the things in my healing journey for my trauma that really made a huge difference, was recognizing what trauma and abuse does to your brain, and like why I felt the way I felt. And then once you get an idea of why you feel the way you feel, it's a lot more. I feel like once you can understand something, then you can wrap your brain around it and then point it out to yourself when you're having those episodes and stuff. And that's, like, hugely important. I'm really glad that you said that. That's super, super important.
Yeah, if you like, yeah, if you don't know if you have something and like you're dealing with it and you don't know, then it's something's wrong, but you don't know what's wrong.
Yeah,
And so what's wrong and then learning how to cope with it. I think that's like something that's very difficult to do on your own. You know what I mean? It's very much easier if you find like a therapist or like a professional to help you.
totally, 100%. Therapy is always good, but it's also good to do extra research and stuff on your own because,
Yeah. No, yeah, that's yeah.
yeah, I feel like nobody at the end of the day, like, therapy is good and everything, but I found, like, nobody knows you better than yourself. So you can tell a therapist stuff, but they might not understand it fully the way that you would understand it because you're the one that's experiencing it. So I feel like therapy plus doing your own research and doing your own education, like, that's the way that you can meld those 2 things together, and then they make sense together. Because like, you can take the bits of the
Yeah.
therapy and the stuff that you've learned on your own and then create a good, solid, like, game plan for yourself.
Yeah.
But at least that's what I
Yeah.
found for me, at least.
Yeah, and like that's another important thing too that you just touched on too. Like I feel like it's very easy for people to think, "Oh, I'm gonna go to a therapist and they're gonna solve all my problems."
Exactly.
But that's not how it works at all. Like you have to do the work yourself, and they're just there to help you figure it out what exactly is going on with you and like what diagnoses you have and like the best way to deal with those things. But it's totally up to you to get informed. It's totally up to you to actually do the therapy, like to
Mhm.
actually do the stuff and whatnot. But yeah, like for sure, yeah, like doing your own research and yeah, like get informed as much as you can about what it is that you're dealing with, and then yeah, just putting it all together for yourself. Yeah, no therapist, nobody's gonna do that for you other than you. Even a therapist won't do that for you. They're just there to listen and talk and to help guide you. But at the end of the day, it's all up to you.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Do you have anything else to share with us about your journey or any little tidbits and information that you would like to add? Just advice or just anything you want people to know about bipolar or ADHD or just like your journey in general?
Yeah, I would say that like the biggest I guess like the biggest thing like I would want if anybody can take like one thing away from like me is that don't ever give up. I'll just tell a little bit of a story. 6 months ago, 8 months ago, 9 months ago, I was working with my dad as an electrician, and I hated that job. I won't get into the reason why, but I just didn't like the job. I hated it. I was getting paid really bad, for the work that I was doing. And it was like I was a skilled worker and it was very hard work and I wasn't getting paid. And it was just gonna be a very difficult like career for me to enjoy being in for the rest of my life. So I would fight with my dad because like my dad was like my manager pretty much. And I would always be fighting with my dad. And so I was like, nah, you know what, fuck this, like fuck this job. I'm gonna sign up for a web development program.
Mhm.
And when I signed up for that web development program, I started working part-time as an electrician. And then I ended up getting in an argument with my manager, with my dad's manager one day because they wanted us to sign some contracts. And I read the contract and it said that I didn't have to sign it. And then I got in an argument with the manager about it. In a nutshell, I got on their blacklist. And when the economy went down a bit, they let me go. And when they let me go, I still had to pay for my web development program. And yeah, I had to pay for that web development program. And so because they let me go, they gave me unemployment.
Mhm.
But like I told unemployment, like I told the unemployment office when I called them, I told them I was like, oh, hey, I'm in a web development program. Essentially, I'm in school. And they
Yeah.
were like, oh, well, we don't know if you're able to work 40 hours a week now. So like we're gonna pretty much have to investigate. So we're not gonna give you any money until like we do our investigation. And it took them 3 months to do their investigation. So pretty much I was unable to pay for my school. And so I
Mhm.
had to drop out and I had a default on like a $9,000 loan.
Oh my goodness.
And yeah, like that. So I had no job, I had no web development program. Like I lost like pretty much like the way I had seen like I fucked up my credit score. So I was like, oh fuck, like I'm doomed to be a loser for the rest of my life.
Mhm.
And I was like literally just like sleeping in my room, like depressed all day, every single day. And it was if it wasn't for my cousin Sergio, like I would never have stepped out of my room and I'd also like probably honestly probably most likely be dead right now because I was just like super depressed. I told you I had my company Gold Minded.
Mhm.
Like I was in that web development program because I wanted to like revive my company, get a web development job and then go to music school, get better at making music and then start my company.
Mhm.
But like that all went to shit. Like I literally ripped off the Gold Minded sticker off my car. I threw away like I ripped off Gold Minded off my computer. I threw away my hats, like my Gold Minded hats. Like I just got rid of everything. I started just getting rid of everything, like what a depressed person does, just get rid of
Yeah.
everything. And yeah, like I was just like pretty much like ready to give up on life. And then out of nowhere, my cousin found this job as an electrician. And since we were hanging out all the time, like he told me about it. So then he also got me a job as an electrician there. And then like him and his brother-in-law knew that I was depressed. And one day they talked to me, gave me a pep talk, and they're like, hey, like just you like just do start a YouTube channel because you've been talking about it for like ever. Just do the YouTube channel. Don't worry about making money. Just have fun and just do it because you enjoy it. Like don't worry about any outcome. Just do it for the fun of it. And I was like, oh, okay, like super depressed, whatever.
Yeah.
But I went and I listened to them what they were talking about and I started doing it because they gave me a list of all the things that I should do. And then I started working on the list.
Mhm.
And then little by little, I just started like gaining momentum on my
Yeah.
ideas and I started getting my ambition back. And then it was honestly like a little bit of ambition, a little bit of mania, like just a little bit of like a bunch of shit going on. But yeah, I ended up like just one idea led to another idea and just like a whole bunch of shit happened. I ended up finding this MBA program, so I signed up for it and I got accepted into it and like was starting my business idea and I was just like running crazy with it a little bit again. And then I was like I saw this master's degree
Mhm.
about for entrepreneurship and then I was like, "Oh shit, like I need to get into this program because they're going to help me. They're going to help me like successfully start my company this time."
Yeah.
So like at the time, I was thinking about signing up for like 3D modeling classes and like a graphic design course, and I was gonna commit to $3,000 a month on like monthly payments for all this shit. And then
Yeah.
I was like, wait, I'm gonna put all that shit on pause, and I'm just gonna sign up for this master's degree
Mhm.
and see if figure out how to properly like start and run my business this time. And
Mhm.
so now I'm in this MBA program, and 9 months ago I was like almost dying, like pretty much.
Yeah.
So the whole point of this is to like never give up and don't worry about like how things are gonna work out. Just have faith in what you're doing and just push forward. And then like another thing that I say too is like in the end, everything will be okay. And if it's not okay, it's not the end.
Hmm. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for that. Very
Yeah, you're
inspiring.
welcome. Yeah.
So, where can people find you on social media and get in contact with you for music and your company? How can we all reach out and support you?
Yeah, I think the easiest way to reach out and to support me is gonna be on my Instagram. It's its.bplr.music. So yeah, if you want to keep up with me or just reach out to me or just talk to me or anything, like that's totally cool. You can always feel free to follow me and message me. And then if you want, I can send you later like my other profiles because I have a link tree.
Uh-huh.
I can shoot that over to you so everybody can connect with me everywhere they want to. And
Great.
then if you want to also connect on LinkedIn, I have LinkedIn. I don't know it exactly what it is, but like I'll send you all that information
Great.
because LinkedIn would be like where you can keep up with everything I'm doing, and then PPLR is like where you can keep up with like my music that project because I also have my A Live music project, so it's a lot. There's a lot going on, but yeah, yeah, I'll send you that information.
Great. Thank you so much for
Mm.
being here. I really appreciate your time and your amazing story and just seeing how you have evolved and how you've incorporated your music and your mental health into everything. And it's really beautiful. And I can't wait to see how your journey continues. So thank
Yeah.
you. And thank you, everyone, for being here. I appreciate you all so much. And stay unsank.
All right, peace, everybody. Uh,
Thank you for joining us on this amazing episode of Unsank Pod. I hope that you found inspiration, healing, and the courage to rise above the waves of life. To stay connected and receive updates on future episodes, follow us on Instagram at unsank.co and unsank.pod. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter at unsank_co. For additional resources and information, visit our website at unsankco.com. You can also find our episodes on popular podcast platforms such as Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Stitcher, and many more. Before we part ways, I want to extend my deepest gratitude to all of you who have shared your time with us. Your openness and willingness to explore the path to healing have made this podcast truly special. Keep healing, keep growing, and keep spreading light to those around you. Take care, and remember to stay unsafe.